Hey, what's up guys? It's Telly Tay checking in with another weekly edition of the Lowdown. Today, I wanted to kind of just rewind a little bit and just talk about Telemark. Like, why did I get into it? Why do others want to get into it? What might be a good reason to try it? What might be a good way to share, our sport with some of our friends that have never done it, but they watch us ski and they know how cool it looks. So with my background in Telemark, I was basically indoctrinated into it. Like, my dad was working up at Alta in the mid 80s and was challenged to what used to be the Groundhog Day race, which the Ski Patrol was putting on. They still do it to this day, so it's a super long running event. It was a time, I believe, was a dual slalom race, or at least that's what it's evolved into now. But he was challenged by one of his co-workers to this Groundhog Day telly race. My dad had kind of a ski racing background, and he had a little bit of prep time before the race to try and borrow someone's telly setup and start to figure it out. And he totally fell in love with the sport, and then eventually, bought a pair of Solo Extremes, was the first pair of boots he owned, and 3 pins and 210s, like pretty rad, like so that's kind of the history and evolution of that. Is like, my dad started doing it in the mid 80s when he was a little younger than me, about my age, started to get into telly and totally fell in love with the turn, and then he's done that ever since. My grandfather, who's 88 this year and still dropping knees, he got into it when he retired, because he was looking, he had been a lifelong kind of weekend warrior skier since they moved out here to Salt Lake City kind of in the 70s. So, he started skiing a little later in life, and then backcountry skiing through Telemark. We got tons of great backcountry training here in the Wasatch, and he wanted to do that. So, he got into the Telemark skiing through backcountry and then totally fell into the turn. Fell in love with the turn. So, I growing up, I saw dad and grandfather, two of the coolest guys I know doing Telemark skiing, and I thought, well, I want to be like those guys. So as soon as we could find a pair of boots small enough, that's what I did. So I started in the Garmont Telly-Dactyl, if you remember that boot. It's now kind of involved into the Scott G Rex, basically the same boot. But, I was age 8 when I did that, so I had a couple years of renting, season rentals with Alpine skis when I was a real young kid. But for the most part, I only know Telemark. So I was indoctrinated into it. And, I kind of don't know any better, or not better. I don't know any different. I already think I'm doing better. Like, I know how much fun Telemark skiing has brought to me and my family. And then being able to share that with people at the shop has been super fun. Do I remember making a ton of Telemark turns as a young kid? Not necessarily, but there are some videos out there of a young Telly Tay dropping knees. So, that's kind of fun to look back at that and kind of see how my skiing has progressed. But, I just got super comfortable being on Freeheel gear. Like, that's very natural to me at this point. Like, I think it would be super foreign to lock it down. And at this point, maybe I'm a bit too stubborn to do that, because I haven't done that since I was 8. So I've had, almost 20 years of Telemark skiing under my belt. 18 years of Telemark skiing under my belt. For me, it's just like, it's natural. But I can also see why can become natural for others, because it's like, if we think about like when I'm walking around, my heel comes off the ground. Like, I'm not locked in walking around with my heels stuck to the ground. So for me, it's almost like a sensation of it's like feels natural. It's just, I got just long feet. I got 180 centimeters skis under my feet. But it's like that ability to just move around naturally. It's like that feels normal. Like there's a sense of like centeredness, in my brain when I get on the tele skis. I also think, for me, I really like the challenge of it. I think part of what drives me as a telemark skier is the fact that it is a totally unmasterable task. Can we get better at it? Absolutely. Am I ever going to be the best I could possibly be at it? No. I always feel like I could get better. I always feel like even if I just crush a line, I could have made that one turn a little better, or could have done something just a little more aggressive, or a little cooler, and a little more in balance. Like, all these things. It's like every day I hop on my skis, and it's like I'm always trying to like do that better, make a telemark turn better, be able to navigate the mountain better. So that kind of sensation of like constantly needing to be fed, like I want to get better at something. I enjoy that challenge. Like, that's really the thing for me. I think that makes telemark cool is like, is it harder? Maybe. People that haven't like basically exclusively tele their whole life tell me it might be harder, but for me it's like, it's just a technique thing. Like, I can do whatever turn I want on my skis, and I love the ability to if I want to drop super low or stand up taller or make a parallel turn on my skis, like I can do that. Especially at a resort like Alta, a lot of the good terrain is a little herringbone walk or a sidestep or a boot pack away, and just that freedom to move around the mountains is much more efficient, more fun. If you're down here, the powder's deeper. Like, that kind of like fine like line of like, finding that balance and centeredness when I'm on an inherently less stable setup than compared to, an alpine ski. So it's like, those are kind of all the things on a daily basis that it's just like, I'm so excited to, strap into my boots and like click into my bindings. And it's just like, let's see how far we can stretch it of being balanced and centered. How fast can I go? How aggressive can I ski? How steep can I ski? All of these things like, is a matter of perspective. So like, if you're a beginner telemark skier or want to get into telemark, like that's going to rewind us a little bit, and we all get to start at a baseline, and then we can all make improvements from there. And my perspective for like making a leap in my telemark skiing, at this point, it's like every little margin, when you've done it for a long time and you've developed a good base of technique, every little margin of, if I'm 1% more balanced or 1% better on my edges, like, that's kind of where I'm at. But like for a beginner telemark skier, I think it's super cool where it's like, it's kind of like, nothing. Like you get to be a total beginner again, and you get to try this new task of developing this technique. And it's like, that type of stuff is so fun to me, of just like, I want to be able to be learning something new, be trying something different, be challenging myself. So, often we, think of telemark, we say it's kind of a personality choice. Like, you got to be willing to take on that challenge, and you got to be willing to kind of get yourself to that next level, push yourself a little bit, challenge yourself. So all those things kind of wrap up into like, telemark is fun to me because it's a challenge. I can never be as good as I possibly could be at it. And, there's a certain sense of like, rightness in the world when I link 4 turns together that were nice and smooth and balanced and controlled. And, that's super satisfying. Like, I think if you're either considering getting into telemark, or if you've done it for a couple years or a long time, there's always going to be a friend or two that you're going to be able to help, nurture into this sport. Like, be a mentor, take them under your wing, show them the ropes. Like, you and I, if we're both telemark skiers, we know how much fun that can be. I want to share that with other people. It's awesome to do that on a daily basis here at the ski shop. I'm talking to people that have never done it before, that saw someone riding under the lift and said, well, that looks kind of fun. Like, I always applaud anyone that wants to take that step to get into telemark. I think mostly because it's like I said, I was indoctrinated into it. Like, I don't know any different, but I always like to ask people, what was your motivation to get into it? Who inspired you? Stuff like that. Like, it's just fun to get that feedback and get a different perspective for how to get into the sport. But, telemark skiing is an awesome challenge. It's an awesome way to get down the mountain. And, to me, it feels very natural in the sense of like, when I'm just walking around, my heels are free. I can move around, that sense of mobility in the mountains. The turn is a great, way to get closer to the mountain. You're leaning into it a little more rather than kind of turning your backside to it in an alpine turn. Like, if you haven't done it or someone that hasn't done it, I'd really encourage you to just give them a nudge. Say, hey, come on, give this a try. Stop teasing me all the time for telemark skiing. Like, you don't get it. Like, you got to try it. So, wrapping up 2020, and we're looking into 2021. Let's see if we can get a new person into telemark, share that passion with somebody. I'm grateful for, dad and grandfather to have shared their passion for the mountains and telemark skiing with me, and I want to be able to share that with other people. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week on another episode of The Lowdown. As always, Freeheel Life on social media, freeheellife.com. Give us a call, shoot us an email if you got questions about gear or the sport, or just want to chat about telemark. We're here. We're stoked to be here. I hope you have a good week. Hope you get some fresh snow. We'll see you next time.